You know I got something to say. You know I got something to say. What up? Oh yeah, we getting closer and closer to football season. You know what? Down on my luck. All I know, go throw the throat with the best. No, I'm tripping it. I was good. Look, man. Cam Newton been talking heavy about Jalen Hurts. Stephen A. Smith just got on the air this morning. You did what I'm saying. Spoke his piece. You did. We gonna listen to everybody. You know what I'm saying. I think they had Jalen Hurts at number 9 when it came out when ESPN came out with that top 10 quarterback list. You did what I'm saying. I don't even know why. I feel like you're supposed to take Dak off, my opinion, but I don't know. If you had it like, this is what we have to learn how to differ. Stop saying is this quarterback better than that quarterback, because it's two ways to judge a quarterback, off sheer talent and off accolades. You feel what I'm saying? So we have to as a community come up with a critique for quarterbacks, because you have a lot of people that will say, of course Cam Newton is a better player, a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. He runs better, he's bigger, he's stronger, he throws the ball a little bit more better than Jalen Hurts does. But what Jalen Hurts has done in his career and what he has accomplished is better than what Cam Newton has done. Point blank, period. Yeah, he has an MVP, but, and he said it out his own mouth, I'm saying, before on his podcast, shout out to 4th and 1, that he would take his MVP over a Super Bowl ring. But you have some people that will take those 2 Super Bowl appearances and the Super Bowl winning quarterback, and it matters who you beat, to beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. A lot of people would take that, bro. A lot of people would take that over your MVP and your career and how they choose it. And then you have some people that just they looking at the sheer talent of you being 6'5", 6'6", can run, pass, and one thing you cannot take away from Cam Newton is that he played in Carolina. He got drafted to the Carolina Panthers. Where you go as a quarterback matters. If the Bears would have took Patrick Mahomes, are we going to get the same Patrick Mahomes? What I mean is, are we going to get 6 NFC championships back-to-back, 8 NFC championships back-to-back with the Chicago Bears compared to him going to KC with Andy Reid? You see what I'm saying? But him going to Carolina, which was a expansion team, coming into the NFL late, one of the last of the teams to come in besides the Houston Texans. You did what I said. That's not a blue blood type of franchise. It's not the New York Giants or the Packers or anything like that. If you want to give them that grace, you can. But if you just judging off, it depends. Like the critique, we have to figure out a critique. But let's hear what they got to say.
And on Philly, because our guy Cam Newton had a controversial take on the Super Bowl.
I don't think it's that
Jalen
controversial
Hurts
though.
On his podcast, 4th and 1, Cam, floor is yours.
It's hard for me to grade.
You know what I'm saying, bro? One more thing. If you're a big time creator, it's okay to you know what I'm saying, acknowledge another platform. And what I mean by a platform, like another person that's doing their thing, bro. Of course, he's worked at ESPN, but it's like I've seen ESPN snatch stuff from different podcasts and use it, and then give them their credit, their shout out. So I just want to big ESPN up for that, because you got a lot of people that's not as big as ESPN or just their own entity, and they act like they just so uppity toward, like we can all eat, bro.
Grade Jalen Hurts with the metrics that with the talent that he has around him. Hurts does not have to play elite for the Philadelphia Eagles to win.
That's a fact. It's a fact.
Asking you to win the game. We're just asking you not to lose it. But when you ask that question, are we winning because of you, solely because of you? Or is it the resources around you? So game.
But I think that with any team that's consistently going to the playoff, consistently competing for a Super Bowl, you're not. It's hard for the quarterback to be the driving force for them to win. Now you asking me what do you mean by that? There's only but so few who has ever done that. Patrick Mahomes, his back-to-back Super Bowls. If you look at both of them, one he won with Tyreek Hill, one he didn't win without Tyreek Hill. But he always had Travis Kelce there, but it's never been the one they won. Without Tyreek Hill says a lot more about Patrick Mahomes. The one with everybody there says more about the Kansas City Chiefs, right? You look at Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, Dallas Clark. Like, they had pieces in the offense around them. You feel what I'm saying? I think Tom Brady is another one, just like in that Patrick Mahomes bucket, to where though he could take a Danny Amendola, a Wes Welker, a subpar running back that's good at everything, but not you know what I'm saying, elite at one thing. You did what I'm saying. The one time he did have a number one receiver for real, you seen what he did with it. So it's kind of like, it's hard for a quarterback to be the driving force. Like right now, you'll say Lamar Jackson is the driving force of Baltimore Ravens offense, right? Where has it gotten him? To an AFC Championship game to lose. You feel what I'm saying? So like, you need pieces around you as a quarterback to get you over the hump. You need a defense. You need somebody that can stop somebody, bro. It's a team sport, bro. It's a team sport. Joe Burrow threw for 8,000 yards last year. Didn't do squat.
Game changer, game manager, those are the things that you have to ask yourself. And those are the metrics that I'm going off of.
Okay, first of all, Kim, we got to talk about that set, because that is
Crazy.
official.
Next level. That budget went up.
Official. It certainly did.
Yeah,
That
it's a big
sponsor
budget.
money's working.
Go.
All right, so you heard Cam, and he said part of why Jalen is so successful is all his offensive weapons. He's not putting him in as a top 10 quarterback.
Well, I think everybody gets to have their own list, right? But the way I look at a list is, okay, can you go above and beyond the X's and the O's? And
There's only 3 quarterbacks, maybe 4 that does that. I want to break down the critique. Let's break down the critique, because it's like I said, there's 2 ways to do this. If you're going to go with a quarterback that's going to go beyond the X's and O's, you're talking about talent. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Talent. Those are the 4 elite. Everybody else falls under that. The next person that comes in line, you decide who that might be. If you want to look at Jalen Hurts as that, maybe not. But you can't look at a quarterback and look at his weapons, and then if he has weapons, you take that away. If he doesn't have weapons, he gains that. That's not how it works, in my opinion. But we're looking to continue.
And Jalen Hurts can do that. Jalen Hurts has become one of the biggest red zone threats in all of football.
He's great on third
He's a
down.
guy who can improvise and extend plays. And when you think back to the playoffs, there are huge Jalen Hurts runs. And then now we say, okay, is he a part of winning? Can we win because of him? Are there games that we can point to and say that Jalen Hurts put this team on his back? Jalen Hurts has not only put this team on his back, Jalen Hurts put this team on his back in 2 Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts outdued and outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And so with that, we're looking at guys like Eli Manning, your dude, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Why is Eli Manning going to be a Hall of Famer? Because he had 2
Beat Tom Brady
playoff
twice.
runs where he beat the best in the game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad they brought that up. That's what I'm saying. It's 2 ways you can critique a quarterback, bro. That's why I think we should find out the definitive critique. And I heard Chris Canty say we judge players off of all pros, MVPs, and Super Bowls. Not necessarily what you can do on the field. So if you can throw for 5,000, have a 5,000 yard season with 40 touchdowns, but you don't make the playoffs, you fall short of being an MVP. You might make an All Pro, you might not. You feel what I'm saying?
Jalen Hurts have had those sorts of playoff runs on top of being second in MVP voting, on top of being an All-Pro, on top of being a 2-time Pro Bowler. And Cam Newton, who is making or who is saying, okay, this is about being a game changer, only went to the playoffs 4 times in his entire career. And I believe and I agree he was a game changer. Jalen Hurts has been to the playoffs 4 times in 5 years. I think the way that you fit into your team, the way that you lead your team, the way that you ingratiate yourself in that locker room, not only as a big-time player, but a leader, matters.
And clutch and poise under pressure and shows up when the moments are the biggest.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you go. We have to remember, in defense of Cam Newton, he went to Carolina. Jalen Hurts is with Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a blue blood. It is a rich place to play football at. They know how to win. They might have not won as many Super Bowls, but they've been to back NFC Championship games before. They have been to Super Bowls and all that. Like I said, Carolina was an expansion team before Houston. I think Carolina. Then it was Houston Texans. So if Cam Newton goes to a Pittsburgh, if Cam Newton goes to a New York Giants or a Green Bay Packers or a Kansas City or, you know what I'm saying, somewhere where, you know what I'm saying, they have a history of winning and knowing what to do and being a great, you know what I'm saying, organization that doesn't have that much dysfunction or that know how to put players around they star player, then his career might end up a little different. But I think Cam is looking at it from his perspective as, if you're not putting your team on your back, then what you're winning is like it doesn't equal up to, you know what I'm saying, a quarterback that's, you got to have the MVP, you got to be an All-Pro, and you got to win the Super Bowl. You got to have the trifecta to be for it to have more meaning in his eyes. That's what I feel like.
Molly, to that point, and RC touched on it, but in the Super Bowl, 44 out of 60 in 2 games, 73% completion, 525 yards, and he also ran for another 142. When you take a weakness, guys, and turn it into a strength, again, he had a transfer in college because he wasn't good enough to play at Alabama. He's the bottom of a second-round pick, and now his completion percentage goes from 52 to 68%. That is inspiring, and you know he had to work his tail off to become much more accurate. And to me, like, he is rightly, what else do you need to see from a guy, not to say he's not one of the best QBs in the game?
Now, I will say this. You saying he had to work his tail off, which he probably did. They also put A.J. Brown around him. They also got a Heisman winner around him. They also got Saquon Barkley around him. Even if you want to say Saquon Barkley out because he didn't have him when they went to the Super Bowl, when they went to the Super Bowl the first time, the weapons is there. So you might can be a little off. You feel what I'm saying? Compared to a low-end wide receiver where the quarterback has to be on all the time. That's what Cam is getting at, and I see both sides of the spectrum.
This is one of the things I hate most about the NFL, is that so often you look and treat a guy the way that they came in, right? He's a second-round pick, and you just automatically assume he's not as talented as these other guys. At some point, we have to trust our eyes. At some point, we have to trust the results. A quarterback's job is to lead under any circumstance and give your team hope, and in the biggest moments, you deliver to get them over the hump. To your point about him playing in 2 Super Bowls, there's only 21 quarterbacks in NFL history that have played in multiple Super Bowls. 18 of them are guaranteed Hall of Famers.
Before I bring in a very special guest that I have for you guys, a little surprise up my sleeve. You thought, I wasn't just going to return without anything. I bring gifts. I'm just curious, how many teams do you feel like have better offensive weapons than Jalen Hurts?
Not many. Like, when you look at who he has, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, obviously Saquon Barkley in the backfield, I would think that they have, to me, the best collection of a wide receiver duo and running back of all of the teams. Because you would have to say, does Dallas have a better trio? They don't. Does Cincinnati Bengals, even with Chase Brown, do they have a better trio? They don't. But the point is going out and winning. It's about being able to build these things, being able to amass these things, and having the sort of success that you're supposed to have. How many times do we see teams go make all of these moves in the offseason and crown them off?
And don't do nothing. You cooking right now, Ryan Clark. You cooking right now. You cooking.
season champions based on their roster, but they don't execute. And it's about executing when it matters. You can have a great season, but the one thing that Cam isn't alluding to, which he knows the pressure of being a quarterback in the Super Bowl. He knows the pressure of being a quarterback in the Super Bowl and being thought of, at least that year in 2015, as the best player in the world. And you have to show up. And the Kansas City Chiefs said, which they should have said, we won't let the best running back in football beat us. But you know who did? Jalen Hurts, the quarterback.
And Molly, you're asking the right question, but that's where I think Cam Newton is off, which is he's almost penalizing Jalen Hurts for having great teammates. And yet, like when the chips were stacked in the middle, he was at his best, and we should applaud that and we should respect that. Like he's looking for a way to knock him down because he has great teammates.
I don't think he's looking for a way to knock him down. I think that, like I said, you got to understand that he played, not to say that I know Ryan Clark played, and I think the dude that they got up there now played, but he was a quarterback. So he's looking at it like, if you're not the driving force, yeah, you won, but it doesn't hit as well as a quarterback that's won the MVP, who's a first team All-Pro, won the Super Bowl, was the MVP of the Super Bowl. That's just like a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander season. You're an MVP, your first team All-Pro, you win the scoring champ, you win the Western Conference Finals MVP, you win the Finals MVP, that's like one of the seasons that that's what he's looking at it like. And can you do that on a consistent basis?
He did what he was supposed to do. He won the Super Bowl.
For forever, they said the same thing about Tom Brady early in his career.
Yeah.
That his roster was
You're right
carrying
about
him,
that.
right? And so now you look, I'm not calling Jalen Hurts at this moment Tom Brady, but at some point you have to look at the entire body of work.
The defense was carrying him, not the roster. The defense was carrying him.
But it was defense, right?
Yeah.
But like all of that stuff builds into it. And I said this the day after he won the Super Bowl. He is on a Hall of Fame trajectory, as he sort of alluded to, right? When you think of Eli Manning had his second Super Bowl in his 7th year. Right. And in that 7th year, he wasn't, to me, as accomplished or thought of as highly as Jalen Hurts should be thought of. If he continues on this trajectory.
Because that's why you can't really, Eli, if you let Eli in the playoffs, that's what people tend to forget. They went into Green Bay, it was cold as hell, but they won that game like 10-13 or something like that. You feel what I'm saying? They beat a Dallas team at Dallas, you know what I'm saying? I think, and they beat somebody else. You dig? But it was that NASCAR package. Both runs. Now they had some nice receivers, but it was that NASCAR package on both of them runs. Eli just didn't turn it over, and he made the throws when he needed to be made. It's kind of like, if you look at both of Jalen Hurts' Super Bowls that he played against us, Jalen Hurts did play well. I'm going to give him that. I ain't taking that away from him. He did play well. It wasn't like I'm just going to make the play when he didn't know. He played well.
Yeah.
He's going to waltz in to the Hall of Fame. And to say that player isn't a top player in this league based on what he's accomplished, I think it's unfair to continue to move the goalposts.
I just have to say one thing before we bring in the special guest. I'm so happy everyone's enjoying this new studio, but these temperatures are out of control.
It's cold.
It is freezing.
It's cold.
I feel like when I was at my uncle's liquor store and we'd hide in the cooler. It is freezing. We need to address.
Your uncle had a liquor store?
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah, we used to play in the, you go hide in the little coolers and the ice things. Yeah.
About a beer.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, guys, I returned from vacation. I was off for a couple weeks. I don't know where our guest is. We're looking around where he's going to arrive from, but clearly he missed me because as soon as I come back, there he is. Our
Did you miss me?
We did. Stephen A., how did
miss
we get
me?
so lucky to have you this morning? How are you? And you don't need to tell us where you are because it's clearly not New York.
I thought about Molly being on vacation, and I thought about her missing me so much.
Yeah.
And I thought about my man RC, and I thought about him missing me so much. and of course, Mr. CIA himself, I heard he was going to be on there and stuff like that. And, so I just said, I'm just going to chime in at my, I'm here in L.A., and I just said, let me just chime in with the fellas. I miss y'all. I know I am missed, and let me just show my face just for a few minutes there,
Oh, my
and that is
goodness.
why I'm here. What's
Stephen
up,
A,
Pete?
Stephen A,
What's
I'm
up?
glad, though, I got to say one thing before we get back to it. I'm glad that you came back because there's some hot topics that happened that I definitely want to get your take on before you say goodbye.
He's the only man that won't allow you to compliment him.
Yeah, get out.
Because he gets in front of
Because he
it?
gets in front of it.
I know
Just
you
in
missed it.
case
You ain't
you
gotta say
missed
nothing.
it.
Why
He just
delay?
wants to have all the bases covered.
Why
You
delay?
know, he plays ball control. You know what it is. You know what it is.
There's
All
no
right,
reason.
Stephen A, I wanna
no
get
reason to delay. I mean, why wait for it?
Oh, my goodness. S.A., I don't know what you heard, but I want to get your thoughts on the Hurts conversation. So our guy Cam Newton, obviously former Super Bowl MVP, said about Jalen Hurts that he's not okay, you heard it, not a top 10 quarterback, and that he benefits so much from that talented offense that he has. Where are you on this conversation?
Well, Cam's wrong. I do think that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League right now.
He definitely
He's
is,
defending
bro.
Super Bowl champion. And
He definitely is. He not number 9 though. I give him like 6, 7, maybe even 5. I even give him 5. You got to give him 5.
you've called upon him to step up and produced on an elevated level. He has done so. So we got to give credit where credit is due with that and stop judging this brother so harshly. But in the same breath, I do understand where Cam is coming from, and we have to understand and appreciate that he's one of the rare individuals in the history of sports to have the license to take the position that he has taken, not because he was a former football player, not because he was just a former league MVP, but because we know that he was asked to carry the Carolina Panthers on his back. He never had the luxury of having an A.J. Brown and a Devontae Smith and a Saquon Barkley at his disposal. And so he's looking at it from the standpoint of not just your talent, but the responsibility that you're asked, the onus that you're asked to have placed on your shoulders, and whether or not you answer the call under those conditions. I understand where he's coming from with that. I respect his position, but nevertheless, I still disagree, because I think that when we look at Mahomes, we look at an Allen, we look at obviously a Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and others. I mean, we stand there with those four, and then after that, it's a crapshoot. You're talking about.
We all know it, bruh. We all know it. That's why I'm saying he gotta be 5, bro. Cause you're not gonna put Justin Herbert over him. You're not gonna put Dak over him. You're not gonna put who else do you want to try to throw in there that may have a chance? You're not gonna put Jared Goff over him. You're not gonna put maybe Matthew Stafford. If you want to put Matthew Stafford at 5, I'm cool. That's why I say if you want to put Matthew Stafford at 5 and put Jalen Hurts at 6, I'm cool with that.
About Goff, you're talking about Stafford, you're talking about Herbert and other guys, and don't tell me, even a Baker Mayfield, for example, is listed by some as a top 10 quarterback. Don't tell me that Jalen Hurts doesn't belong in that category, considering the way that he's played. I will say this though, and we have to monitor this, and there's a level of consistency that we have to bring to the table in this regard. When we look at Aaron Rodgers, we said he had a down year. Aaron Rodgers threw for nearly 4,000 yards. He completed more than 63% of his passes. He threw for 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. And we said that was not good. And we understand that more comes to it than just those stats. And please, I understand that. I know who I'm talking to. The flip side to it is Jalen Hurts threw 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Yeah.
It's a different style of football. Bro. They are a run-based team. That's what they was last year. A.J. Brown's going to get his catches. Devontae Smith is going to get his catches. They're going to go for it on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. He got more 1-yard rushing touchdowns than probably the whole league. Like, Aaron Rodgers ain't running the pill. Aaron Rodgers not, running over zone reads or anything like that. So stats can lie to you. I'm sorry, they just can. He did all that, and they win 5 games, 4 to 5 games. Like, that's just like that. You can't. I feel like you just can't use that to measure what you're trying to say, in my opinion.
Completed about 68% of his passes, but it was considered relatively pedestrian numbers. And then remember, guys, how you all had to come on the air with me last year, and we were talking about how A.J. Brown was complaining about balls not being thrown in his direction. People were saying that he was more game managing because you had Saquon Barkley playing lights out, and obviously you had a coach that was deferential to that. and then Jalen Hurts goes out, shows out in the game with A.J. Brown in the immediate aftermath of all of that.
That was
He says, "Is that
Pittsburgh.
what y'all were looking for?"
That was
Giving
in
us an
Pittsburgh.
indication he can do what's necessary.
That
And
was in
that's what
Pittsburgh.
he's saying. I can do what you need me to do. You need me to throw more, fine.
Yep.
You need me to throw less and run more, fine. You need me to hand it off to Barkley, fine. You need me to hand the ball off and then produce, passes and pressurized situations, fine. You need me to contribute to a romp in the NFC Championship game, rather, and then the Super Bowl over Jaden Daniels.
I don't even think they supposed to made it out of the divisional, in my opinion, bro. If Stafford if they would have completed that last drive, they was cooked. If he wouldn't never let that pass rush get by him, because he had made a mistake. I think it was the right tackle. He had blocked down instead of blocking the DN, and the DN ended up getting a free shot at Stafford, and he couldn't complete that pass. And I think Cooper Nakua had a key drop. That last drive, they was cooked. They wasn't even gonna make it to the NFC Championship game. They was cooked.
Then after Patrick Mahomes, fine. You need me to appear a bit more competitive against lesser quarterbacks. What do you need? The thrills, the excitement, whatever the hell you need, I'm capable of doing it. So he's a top 10 quarterback, but I still do respect where Cam Newton was coming from. It's not like, he was just insulting the brother. He's saying that, Joe, when I played, this is what I was asked. This is the litmus test y'all put me under and how y'all judged me.
And I don't even think he's I mean, he is looking like that, but I don't think it's that deep. Like, I don't think it's like, what I think it is he's looking at how Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts win games. Like, half the time when you're scoring, you're getting pushed over the pile. Half of the time when you're getting first downs, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, you're getting pushed over the pile. You know what I'm saying? You got like, you're not airing it out, and you're not running the ball all over the lot. So it's like you're not great at one thing. I mean, you're not elite at anything. You're probably not great at anything, but you're good at both of those things. And then it's just the play style itself, the way they call plays and all that. Like, to be honest, to beat Philadelphia, you want them to throw the ball. You want to get him in 3rd and long and have him make decisions in the pocket. Don't let him escape the pocket. Like, let him beat you with his arm. If he beat you with his arm, you shake his hand and tell him good game. You feel what I'm saying? Compared to a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you don't really want him to have the ball and beat you with his arm. You kind of want to pressurize him. You want him to, get on the run and be, in a rush and this, that, and the third. Like, yes, that's what you want. So it's different ways to beat different quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts is one of them quarterbacks. It's like, I want you to throw the ball, because 9 times out of 10, you will make a mistake. But then they kind of minimize those mistakes with the weapons that they got. So he can be a little off, and A.J. Brown can bail him out. Devontae Smith can bail him out. You feel what I'm saying?
So a lot of times you see superstars that have played in this game and have played throughout professional sports. They're looking for the litmus test to be consistent, and I think that's what Cam Newton was doing.
Well, I think what Stephen A is pointing to is perspective, right? Like my perspective is always undrafted free agent that was cut and had a regular job when I played in the NFL at some point. And so I look at things from that perspective. Cam's perspective is, I was asked to do all of these things, and I had like Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin. And what would I have done if you saw what I did when I had Steve Smith. What would I have done if I had Devontae and if I had A.J. Brown? And I get that, but we can't penalize Jalen Hurts, or we can't penalize these other players, because they have general managers and teams and organizations that put the right pieces around them. Like, we have to remember, when Jalen Hurts took over for Carson Wentz, he wasn't supposed to be the guy.
That's
and
a fact.
Things didn't go.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. His first, that's what I'm saying. Y'all sit up there and say he been to the playoffs 4 out of the 5 years. The first 2 years, it wasn't Jalen Hurts getting them to the playoffs. It was the team. It was the coaching. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't, I don't know. As of right now, he is a top 10 quarterback. He's not 9. He's not 8. He's not 7. He's either 5 or 6. It's either Matthew Stafford, if you want to put him at 5, or it's Jalen Hurts. Either or. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's either 6 or 5. 7, 8, 9 is whoever y'all want to put right there. We don't really care. But Jalen Hurts is definitely up there, bro. He's definitely up there. I don't know, like, it's disrespect, especially when you got a ring. I'm sorry. Especially when you have a ring. It's hard to get a Super Bowl. It's hard to do back-to-back Super Bowls. It's hard, like, it is what it is. It is what it is. But will I say is Cam Newton hating on Jalen Hurts? No. I think that he's looking at it like I said, he want that. He look at it like how you would look at a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander type of season. And can you do it consistently? Can you be, you know what I'm saying, a scoring champ? Can you be a Western Conference Finals MVP, a regular season MVP, a Finals MVP? You feel what I'm saying? Can you do all of that and keep it consistent, whether it's with your play or with your accolades? You feel what I'm saying? There's not a lot of players that can do that. Only players that's really been doing that in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. The second player that's coming close to that is Jalen Hurts, because they done seen each other in the last 3 Super Bowls. It is what it is, bro.